Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike, the intern, Ned Reynolds. I was in a good mood when I walked in, talking to Ned, weekend plans, and then I was reminded, oh yeah, we've got a little tournament going on. Let me look at my bracket. Thanks for reminding me. I suck at picking the future. And I think I'm like about 60-40% right now of my picks. So.
That's about average.
Yeah, I think that is about average. I still got UConn going all the way, so we'll see what happens.
Of course, they haven't played yet, but they will. No. They play today against Stetson, and UConn should win that one. Interesting thing about these games is you're just picking winners. There is no point spread involved. If there were point spreads, then you'd have about probably a 35-65 ratio the other way.
Yeah. More than likely.
But there were the usual surprises. There always are in the first round. I think probably the biggest one of all was Kentucky getting knocked out of it. But, I don't want to be a soothsayer, but while it's a surprise, to me it's not a shock. Kentucky did not play well all year long. Coach Calipari is thought to be perhaps on thin ice. I can't believe it. He's had such great success at Kentucky. But by the same token, Kentucky lost to Oakland. Oakland's a team in Michigan. They're kind of a Bears-like team, maybe a little bit lesser than that. In fact, they're called the Golden Grizzlies. But they held off Kentucky 80-76. Kentucky had their chances, just could not capitalize, and they haven't all year long. So again, that wasn't all that much of a surprise. What was Drake. I thought the Drake Bulldogs would beat Washington State. They did not. Washington State won it 66-61 over Drake, and that was really, not literally speaking, but figuratively, a home court advantage for Drake. Played the game in Omaha. Drake is in Des Moines, Washington State. That's about 1,700 miles away in Pullman, Washington. But nonetheless, Washington State got the win in that one by a score of 66-61. There were other reversals. Duquesne knocking out Brigham Young. That was a bit of a surprise. And Steve Alford's Nevada Ball Club, which had a very good year, ended up losing to Dayton by 3 points, 63-60. And Kansas. Now, Kansas wins, but I'll tell you, Coach Bill Self must have been about to pull out all his well-copped hair because they almost lost the game. Kansas is playing Samford. Samford's located in Birmingham, Alabama. It's a good program, not a great one. Kansas was up by 22 points in the second half and let it get away. It was down to 1. KU won it on a controversial dunk and foul. 93-89 over Samford, but hey, they won the game, and that's what counts, and that is, in fact, where you pin your chocolate chips, right there on the winners.
Close calls, man, that one, and you got to get up to Drake. They did do a good job of battling it out for the Missouri Valley Conference against Washington State. I mean, 5 points isn't a lot. It's still not a win, but at the same time, they did okay.
I just thought Drake was a better team than Washington State.
Yeah, and like you said, it's decided on the court, and that's why right now my bracket's 60-40, my friend. All right, so Tiger Woods has been kind of sitting back right now. He says he's going to play in the Masters. You think that's a reality?
Oh, I think it is. He would not have put his name on that list if he didn't think he could do it. That doesn't necessarily mean he will show up and play on April 11th when the Masters begins at Augusta, Georgia, but it does mean that it is in the forefront of his mind. He wants to win it. He's won it many times before, I believe 5 times if I'm not mistaken, and he would like to recall the glory. Last time Woods won was in a big surprise. He won it in 2019, and he was not a youngster then. He certainly is not a youngster now. Can he get out there and traverse a very hilly course? And the Augusta National Golf Club is very hilly, a lot of terrain that requires traversing, and Tiger Woods is not real good at that right now because of the leg problems he's had, but he says he's going to play, so we'll see what reality brings.
Baseball Bears have had a rough week and a half, to say the least, but they faced some tough hombres. I think this weekend they do have a chance to right the ship, though.
Well, we hope so. The Bears have lost 5 in a row, and now they open conference play. This is the beginning of the Missouri Valley Conference season. This is where it's a key, and the Bears have to open it on the road. The schedule this year is very difficult because of the over 50 games that the Bears are playing. 36 of them are away from home. There are only 19. Now they've already played 3 games, so it's 16 now. That's all. 16 home games. This weekend, the Bears are at Indiana State. Indiana State in Terre Haute is the number one pick this year in the Missouri Valley Conference, a very good baseball program. I think the Bears are too. But the Bears have lost 5 in a row, and as you mentioned, Mike, they played some tough hombres, Kansas State, and they also, Ole Miss was tough on them. SLU, well, the Bears should have beaten SLU and did not do so. And Oklahoma State, that's the last club the Bears played, and Oklahoma State pinned a 13-4 loss on them. Missouri State has to improve their pitching and their defense. The hitting is there, and maybe that will come to the fore this weekend.
Springfield City basketball teams competing last night. How'd they do?
Split. One gets a win, the other gets a loss. And in all honesty, it's reverse from what I thought it would be. Lady Bears played up at Champaign-Urbana in the very first game of a new tournament, the WBIT, Women's Basketball Invitational Tournament, owned and funded by the NCAA. And the Lady Bears played Illinois out of the Big Ten Conference. Missouri State has won all year long because they have been bigger than most of the teams they played. The Lady Bears have a very large front line, and those ladies play very well. Well, Illinois had an equally large front line and were able to hold off the Lady Bears. A 9-0 run at the end of the first half, beginning of the second half, proved to be really the big difference. Lady Bears had their chances, couldn't capitalize. Illinois wins by a score of 74-69 in a very good basketball game. Lady Bears can hold their own. They can play with those Big Ten Conference teams. Maybe not Iowa, but they certainly can play with Illinois and Minnesota and Michigan and some of the others, and proved that with that loss last night. But be that as it may, season's over for the Missouri State Lady Bears, a team that won, and this kind of surprises me. Where has this Evangel Valor team been all season long? They are now in the Elite Eight of the NAIA National Tournament up in Kansas City. And while NAIA is a different organization than the NCAA, it is a very good basketball tournament, mostly smaller, non-name schools. Evangel beat Lewis and Clark last night, 77-74 at the Municipal Auditorium up in Kansas City. That's a big win for the Valor, and that puts them in the Elite Eight, so they stay up there for the weekend, and who knows, could carry that banner very high. Good luck, Evangel.
Yeah, man, that's really good stuff. Speaking of basketball, Caitlin Clark had one hell of a season, a legendary season. When does she get a chance to get back out on the court?
She's the nation's all-time leading scorer as it stands now, past the mark held by Pete Maravich. I hesitate to say broke the record because they aren't comparable. We have been into that philosophical approach before, but she passed it, and you can't deny the fact that Caitlin Clark is the all-time points maker in all of college basketball, gender notwithstanding. So when does she play again? Tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. That's when the Iowa Lady Hawkeyes take the court for the first time in the NCAA, and they will play the winner of a play-in game that was held last night. And that play-in game winner was Holy Cross out of Worcester, Massachusetts. They beat Tennessee Martin. So Holy Cross and Iowa will play at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And you can watch for Caitlin Clark to come out shooting, because that's exactly what she does. And I'm being literal on this. If you've never seen her play, the second she crosses the mid-court line, that's open territory for her. She's that good a player. She can shoot from long distance, and from here she goes right into the into the WNBA, and we'll see how she does there, which is probably going to be pretty good.
I think she's going to be just fine, and very wealthy to boot. Last but not least, even though the regular season has started for some, others still have just a few short games left, and that includes the Cardinals and Royals. Let's start with the Cardinals.
Cardinals lost to the Houston Astros yesterday by a score of 9-1. Starting pitching was pretty good. Zach Thompson held his own, but the relief corps did not hold its own, and Houston pretty much ran away from it. The final score was 9-1. The Astros get the win. The Kansas City Royals split their squad. They played the Chicago White Sox to a 3-3 tie, and then the other half of the Royals played the Cleveland Guardians, and the Guardians won that one 8-5. You mentioned the fact that there are some teams that have opened the regular season. Those some teams are the Dodgers and the Padres. They opened up in Seoul, South Korea, and split their series. So both those teams are now 1-1, and now the season is right on the brink, because it opens up next Thursday of next week, March the 28th. All the teams will play, and that's when the real baseball begins.
What do we do till then?
Drink.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have. Ned, you have a great weekend. I'll see you mañana.